Good morning, everyone. Thank you for this invitation. Really appreciate it. Maybe a couple of words about myself. Medical doctor with an MBA, 25 years in the pharma industry, mostly in big pharma, but also in biotech, where I had a couple of CEO roles with also a number of successful exits. So, Oasmia, so I will not ask you to read this forward-looking statement, obviously. So what are we doing at Oasmia? Fundamentally, first and foremost, we are building a global oncology business. We have an approved product called Apealea. And I would like to ask you, in this room, how many companies in Sweden do have an approved product in biotech? Not so many, actually. Right, we do have also an emerging pipeline in oncology that is focused exclusively on how to treat cancer and late-stage cancer as well. And why do we focus on that? Because, of course, the world of cancer is so huge that we need to focus on a number of cancer indications, subpopulations of patients as well, in order to have a chance to be successful in this market. At the same time, I joined Oasmia about 18 months ago. We spent a lot of time to build in-house capabilities. And I will come back to that as well a little bit later on, in regulatory development and so on and so forth. Having one product approved in biotech is fine, especially in cancer, obviously. Having a successful deal with a partner is another thing. And we do have this capability. We have a global partner in the US for the commercialization of our cancer drug that has been approved in Europe. The goal is to build an oncology pipeline using a number of mechanisms of actions. Why do we want to do that? Because not only because the spectrum of oncology is huge, because we know that given the attrition rate in clinical development in this business, there will be failure. So therefore, we need to have a critical mass if we want to be successful. And as I said earlier, I'm new to the company, relatively new, let's say. It's a new leadership team, new board, disruptive strategy that has been put in place over the last 12 months. So, areas of focus. So we have two lines of businesses. First of all, we have an oncology R&D development using our clinical development, our own proprietary compounds, Cantrixil, docetaxel micellar, and we want to expand our pipeline. So this is one line of business, clinical development. The other line is commercial. So that means basically we will get revenues from our deal with our global partner. That revenues will be obviously translated into milestones and royalties for Oasmia. We have this technology platform that is mentioned with the weird names, S17, 18, 19. This is a solubilization platform for small molecules, and we are planning to work on that, upgrade it, and potentially use other API into it as well. And we have a small animal health portfolio that we are looking for partnering. Right, oncology R&D, let's work a little bit more into that. So Cantrixil is an acquisition that I have made over the last 12 months or so in ovarian cancer. Same indication as our product approved in Europe. Why were we picked by this small company in Australia called Kalinska Therapeutics to be a partner for them? Because we have expertise in ovarian. And that's the whole thing in oncology. So that compound has been licensed in phase 1B, successful, moving into phase 2 next year. Docetaxel micellar is the solubilization platform of docetaxel. Docetaxel is Taxotere. It's a blockbuster. And we have an improved version of it. And that one is currently into phase 1B. Right, oncology commercial now. So, as I said earlier, so our approved product, Apealea, in ovarian cancer, second line, has been licensed out with Elevar Therapeutics in the US. And We know that the regulatory requirements are different in Europe from the US, and therefore in the US that product is not approved and requires additional studies to be performed. And here I mentioned, our platform XR 17, 18, 19. So we are working on the next generation of our solubilization platform for small molecule. This is called XR 18. And I'm pleased to report actually today that the discovery phase has been successfully done, and we will be moving to feasibility next year. XR 19 is the encapsulation of two API into one, so two compounds into one. And this is something that we are working. We have done a feasibility study. We may potentially work into the development over the years ahead. Finally, I want to mention a significant collaboration we have with Kalinska Institute, which is in this area actually one of the best institutions in Europe to further understand, further develop our solubilization platform and further understand, the biological properties of once an API is administered into the blood, how does it dissolve and how does it reach the tissues and so on and so forth. Okay, nothing can be done without having a great team on board. We are not a virtual company. This is not our business model. We want to build, and we have built over the past 18 months, adding business development capabilities, product development capabilities, clinical capabilities, regulatory capabilities, and partnering with those two deals, basically. And all of those people, they have a background in big pharma and in biotech, which is extremely important. And they've all been having a significant track record in regulatory as well, which is obviously very important. Right, what is the strategy of the next 2 years? Well, first, we need to expand the portfolio. We need to build multiple shots on goals to de-risk. One obsession of the CEO in oncology, every CEO in oncology that have been, not necessarily worked on, but we always talk about de-risking your portfolio. So adding compounds with different mechanisms of actions is the only way to do it in oncology. So this is what we want to do. Of course, we want to execute in terms of clinical development for Cantrixil and docetaxel micellar. This is what we are doing. And we are on time on this one. Leverage drug delivery technology platform. This is what I just talked about. Improving our technology platform, looking for partners, potentially developing as well new APIs into it. And above all, we need to maximize this global partnership we have with this US-based company for our approved product in Europe in order to support our cash flow and our operations. Right, string of pearls. String of pearls means that's a translation of adding a number of compounds with different mechanism of action to our portfolio. So adding, and we are quite good at that, at picking the right kind of targets, the right kind of compounds, hidden gems in the industry. And I prefer to licensing in compounds with phase 1B. Why? Because they have already an approved POC, proof of concept, a clinical proof of concept. So that is really the goal, is to license in from phase 1B, phase 2. Potentially, we can develop into phase 3 in a number of different indications, narrow, selective, with biomarkers. That we can do as well. And then look for partners. So we know that in oncology, the value that an oncology company, the goal is not to be a super cash machine, profitable company. No, this is not what we want to do. We want to create value by having successful phase 1B, phase 2B, potentially phase 3 as well. This is where you add value to the company. And then you can look for partner. You can divest or look for partnership. This is just an example of an Evaluate Pharma report. Really, this is where the value is created in oncology. Right, Cantrixil, so this is the compound that we have acquired from that Australian company in ovarian cancer. It's a small molecule, tubulin binding. The interesting piece is that we have an orphan drug designation in the US. That is absolutely great. And we have a strong patent protection up to 2035. I don't know if you know, but orphan drug designation is not delivered now to compounds. They have a different system. So this is a great advantage we have. What do we do next? We recently held a clinical advisory board. We've been able, even at a small company based in Sweden, to gather the most important leaders in ovarian cancer in the world, basically. And they are there to advise us on the clinical development of that compound. We will be obviously looking for interaction with FDA and EMEA. I will never go to or embark on a clinical program without having the blessing, even informal, from the authorities, both in Europe and in the US. And we are working on securing the drug supply as well now. Docetaxel micellar. So that was, so this is the super taxotere development. The interesting piece is that we have been approached by SAC, Swiss Cancer Research, Swiss Group for Clinical Cancer Research. They approach us. It's quite rare, you know, that an institution, a cancer research group approach a small company, said, yeah, you have an interesting compound. So this is a new formulation. So we have been, of course, working with them to develop a clinical trial, phase 1B. It's ongoing in Switzerland, 3 centers, and that should be completed by the end of next year. And this is in prostate cancer. No need to remind everyone the importance of prostate cancer. And we will be developing it further for, well, metastatic castration-resistant prostate cancer. Very interesting compound to be further developed. Now, Apilia, so our ovarian product approved in Europe. What is the advantage vis-à-vis Taxol, for instance? Well, a couple of things. But first and foremost, this is linked to the side effect of Taxol. Taxol produces many, many side effects. Neuropathy, sensitive, people cannot even walk at one point. So there are a number of side effects. So we are targeting patients unable to tolerate solvent-based paclitaxel. Our formulation, our Apilia is a kind of a green product, if I into quotes. So this is solvent-free. Solvent-free is chemophore-free, and that's really important. We also have a number of other specifications compared to Taxol, but I would not go into that. But there are a number of things that are differentiating Apilia versus Taxol in a very positive way. So we have license to Apilia to Elevar in the US. Because it is Elevar is a sub of a conglomerate in Korea called HLB. This is a small company in the US, but not in Korea, so they have some muscles. But they don't have any presence in Europe. So the partner of Elevar in Europe is Inceptua. And Elevar is in a process to finalize what we call marketing authorization holder transfer from Elevar to Inceptua. And so we believe that the commercialization in Europe of Apilia will start actually next year, targeting first Germany and the UK, followed by Switzerland. And we recently, because we still had the rights of Apilia in Russia and CIS, we recently released a deal with Pharmamondo, because it is a much better distributor than we had before. I have to say something about this commercialization. I mean, this partnership with Elevar has not been yet fully fruitful in a way that, because of the COVID situation that prevented us to basically launch in Europe, and two, because of this complex transfer relationship between, a few companies. We have Oasmia, you have Eleva, you have Inceptua. So once the full transfer is done, and it's about to be done now, almost as we speak, then 2022 will be the year of marketing and sales of Apelia in Europe, where we can obviously expect royalties and milestones. Right, a few words about Eleva planning US IND filing in earlier next year, because as I said earlier, the regulatory requirements are different, so a few studies need to be added, including a phase 3 that will be performed by Eleva. And they are working with the Gynecological Oncology Group Foundation, which is the best group for also ovarian cancer. We are working with them as well. So this is where we stand with regard to Apelia. Now, a few words about the financial situation. We have recorded initial sales linked to the fact that we transferred some of our batches, to Eleva. But above all, since the reorganization that I undertook 12 months ago, we've been able now to make significant savings. The savings are in the order of magnitude of 100 million SEK per year. We are burning between 10 and 12 million SEK per month. And we have a cash situation of close to 180 million SEK at the end of the quarter. So we are in a good position to continue operating with the current level of resources we have. Obviously, if we do acquisition, that will be a different financing scenario. Looking ahead, so Catalyst 2022, clearly, Cantrixil, the initiation of the phase 2, docetaxel micellar, the completion of the phase 1, Apelia, additional studies in the US, partnering in key territories. I know that Eleva is looking at China, for instance. Initial royalties in Europe to be delivered to us. We need to improve the technology platform. We are working on this, and animal health business for partnering. So in summary, at Oasmia, we are building a global oncology business using a string of pearls strategy as a tool in order to create an oncology pipeline with multiple shots on goals. We have become already not a global partner, obviously, but a partner that has some more visibility compared to before. The fact that we were able to license in this Cantrixil from an Australian company. We are focusing on mid-stage value drivers. I think I mentioned that before. And of course, expecting some revenues from Apelia and our technologies to support our cash flow operations. So this is what I wanted to tell you about Oasmia. I have to say that major rebranding efforts will come down the road as well in order to have more visibility to the financial community in Europe as well. Thank you.
Welcome. I'd like to ask you, what is it that makes Oasmia unique? You mentioned the oncologists actually meeting to convene and to talk about Cantrixil at the Australian context. What is it with you that really are able to have this type of support?
So, why are we unique?
Yeah, because this is not very commonly happening, what you just described with the oncologists.
Well, that's also a proof of our level of expertise, Because obviously we had one product approved in one indication, and around the world, someone noticed us and said, maybe this could be a good partner. This company could be a good partner because they have already done it before, you see.
So this is the reason why the oncologists really felt that they could be in this context.
Yes, absolutely.
And interview. You presented a little bit of a scenario ahead of the future for you. From your perspective, which drug is the most important for you to bring to the market now? Where lies your biggest hope?
Well, clearly, we don't have that many drugs yet. So we have Cantrixil to progress further. We have Apilia as well.
But between these two, Apilia sounds like it's...
But we don't view that way. You know, we want to be able to build an oncology global portfolio. So we need to add much more if you want to create a sustainable business. Otherwise, it's, you know, the attrition rate is such that it's always difficult, you know. So we have currently the level of resources necessary to progress all projects at the same pace, but we need to do more. We don't have a critical mass yet.
Well, thank you very much for addressing the audience here and behind the screens at home.
Thank you for the invitation. Thank you.
You're most welcome.